people keep comparing, a lot of these videos are comparing Starfield to Cyberpunk without even mentioning how Cyberpunk was launched. They're trying to talk about Cyberpunk like the version of Cyberpunk you're getting now is the version that was launched. They're actually talking about this game like it was just launched. And I guess they're trying to fool people through the power of suggestion. Hey, well, forget about the fact that it was released in a horrible state, probably the most horrible state in history. The launch was probably the worst launch in gaming history. Sorry if you hear that noise in the background. But these people, they kill me with this. It's hilarious. Don't forget how long it took. When you're sitting up here thinking about how much better Cyberpunk is than Starfield, and I love Cyberpunk, I was playing Cyberpunk. I was one of the fortunate ones. I was one of the ones who enjoyed the game when it was released. I was fortunate. I enjoyed the game, and I got attacked online. Just saying that I enjoyed the game, but I kind of ignored people because I kind of understood. That was one of those situations where I said that a development company, they were getting what they deserved. You see the video here. I'm going to talk about Cyberpunk. Now, let me tell you what's going on the screen here. What you see in the main part of the screen is pretty recent gameplay of Cyberpunk. And what you see there in the far left corner is literally my gaming experience the day that this released. This is gameplay of me playing the day that it released, okay? And by the way, what you're not going to see there in that upper left corner is, I'll go ahead and tell you that my experience with it is when I first started playing the game, I saw some, I guess what you might describe in the grand scheme of things as minor glitches. The driver of the car would T-pose out of the car. I was actually trying to catch that on video, but I couldn't catch it. And I was amazed that I couldn't catch it because it had been doing it quite frequently before that. You know, he would have given it credit for everything that it deserved credit for, but there would have been too many glitches for ACG, and he basically would have said, not necessarily to wait for a sale, but to wait until they get the glitches out. That's what he would have said. I bet money on it that is exactly what he would have said. He would have said, don't purchase it right now, give the devs a chance to get the glitches out, and then take another look at it. But you know who else knew that? CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red did what they did on purpose. I have absolutely no doubt about that in my mind, and that's why I'm going to tell you this too. This may be controversial to some, but CD Projekt Red deserved every bit of vitriol they got. Of course, I don't support anybody threatening anybody's family or threatening anybody even directly, but in terms of just anger, vitriolic anger, they deserved every bit of it. And the fact that CD Projekt Red would not give ACG a review copy was very telling to me. And that alone should have let people know that something wasn't right. But because of, to put it this way, that game was so historically horrible that I forgot that. I forgot all about that. I forgot all about telling people not to attack the devs, which is always good not to do that. But I simply didn't blame people for doing it. I didn't fault people. I faulted the company that made the game. The game was horrible. And let's not forget, for a lot of people, the game was not even playable. The game was not even playable. I wish I would have saved this tweet. Maybe before I finish this video, maybe I'll find it. And if so, I'll put it up on the screen. So if you see it right now, that means I found it. If you don't see it, then that means I couldn't find it. Honestly, I'm not going to put a whole lot of effort into it because it was probably about a month ago or so that the guy said this. It was a developer for Cyberpunk, and somebody was saying something bad about Starfield, and the developer said, hey, don't forget how long it took us to get Cyberpunk to this state. In other words, he was admitting, hey, don't forget how we released this game and the fact that it's years later and we're just now releasing it in a playable state. Don't forget that. So that's important to remember. You have to understand, Starfield is what it is right now, but they're not going to stop working on Starfield. That same thing that CD Projekt Red did for Cyberpunk as far as continuing to work on it, that's just what Bethesda does. They release a game and they continue to make that game better over years, and people continue to play it for many, many years. Now, CD Projekt Red has already said they're not going to do that. What you get, now they're probably going to do a few things with it, but don't forget there's another Cyberpunk coming out. So this game is going to go into the history book soon. And they're not going to be working on that game anymore. And by the time the new Cyberpunk comes out, Starfield is going to look like a completely different game. That's what people don't understand, is that it's unfair to compare these two games. One genuinely just launched. It was just born. It just came out of the womb. And when it came out of the womb, it had some faults like any other game, but it was a complete and playable game, and millions of people are enjoying the game. So in a lot of if you go in and you look at a lot of the PC complaints about the game, it's more about the optimization of the game. They want them to optimize the game more. PC players are very, very picky, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you enjoy your game, then yes, wait until the game comes out and it's in a state where you can enjoy it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But no one is complaining about the core game. And the only reason why a lot of people are making all of these suggestions to Bethesda to do this and that to the game and giving all of these suggestions is because they know that Bethesda has an open ear, and they know that Bethesda, that's what they do. They improve the game. They look at the people who are playing the game. What do you think they will like? And that is what they do. Don't forget about No Man's Sky, how it was released. Everybody was disappointed in it. Everybody was angry. And there again, there's another game that you have people trying to unfairly compare what No Man's Sky is now versus what it was when it was first released. Again, Starfield is just released. So when you look at No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, Starfield was released in a much, much, much better state than both of those games. Now you have to ask, years later, what is Starfield going to look like? Right? So if you're willing to give No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk credit for what they were able to achieve years later, the question remains, why aren't you willing to give Bethesda that benefit of the doubt, considering the fact that they did at least release a game that was what they said it was going to be when it was released? When you purchased it, it was everything that they said it was going to be. I don't want to hear anything about seamlessly landing and all of that. You knew you weren't going to be able to seamlessly land. How many of you have run into a wall while exploring and run around on these planets? Because I've been over encumbered, I've had to run everywhere. And so I haven't ran into any walls. I've looked at a location, undiscovered location far away, and ran all the way there, especially after I found out you don't really die when, when the screen starts turning red and all of that, pink and all that, you don't really die. I just kept running. It's bad on the eyes, but, you still get there quicker. So why not give Bethesda, they released the game. It's playable. People are happy with it. Millions of people are happy with it. So look, if you can give those two companies credit and they released a bad game, why can't you give Bethesda credit considering the fact that they released a game, at least in a decent state, a very playable state? I mean, I love Cyberpunk. It's a great game. I play it frequently. I've been playing it for years. We'll continue to play it. But let's be honest, man. On release day, it was garbage to a lot of people. And this is not to mention a lot of the broken promises that were made, even for people who were playing the game and playing it and enjoying it. We still had to play it while at the same time, even though we were enjoying it, we had to play it realizing that many of the things we thought were going to be in the game wasn't in the game. I mean, even when you look at the background you pick, it turns out that at some point, regardless of which background you pick, the life paths just ended up being the same. Even as the game approached its launch, more and more features were being dropped from the game, such as flying cars, wall running, acid rain, subway trains, corrupt police, vehicle customization, advertisements tailored for the Cyberpunk universe, robot companions. That's one I really remember. I was looking forward to it. But Starfield didn't have any of that. Starfield may not be the miracle game. It may not be the game that fulfills everyone's dreams. But Starfield is what it was intended to be and what it was sold as on launch day. Now, you can play with nuances and all of that. My point is that with Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky, you didn't need to get creative with your insults of the game. You know, you didn't have to do that. The insults, or rather the things that was wrong with the game, was very apparent. Both games were in a very, very bad development state. They should not have been released. And with No Man's Sky, the list of broken promises, you know, they're too long to even mention. I can't even remember them. But I do know that the game was released and it was nothing like what we were told it was going to be. Now, I'm not trying to come down hard on these games. You have to remember the only reason why I'm even talking about these games is because people are trying to talk about these games now like they just got released. Like they didn't get released in a bad state. Like, hey, look at No Man's Sky. Look at Cyberpunk. Look how they released. Wow. And look at the Starfield over there. Yeah, they look like garbage in comparison to them. Okay, but what's Starfield going to look like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from now? I mean, you got to, you know, yeah, it released in a great state, but hey, to be fair, you got to say, hey, if it released like it did release, damn, what's it going to look like years from now? I mean, if those games can release like they did and garner all of this respect now, all of these accolades now, what can Bethesda do with a game that they released in at least a fairly good condition? A game that was good enough for millions of people to still be enjoying it. I mean, the release of Cyberpunk was so horrible. How often do we see investors sue the developers because the game was released in such a bad state that it caused the stocks to tank? Like, you know, I mean, they went like extremely low. Last I checked, they still haven't fully recovered. They may have recovered in recent days. I haven't really checked, but last time I checked, which wasn't that long ago, they hadn't yet quite gotten back up to where they were. I mean, we normally don't see the investors as mad as the consumers were. I mean, even Sony, who never ever give refunds. Even they took a look at the game and said, you know what? We have no choice. We have to give refunds. And because they felt like CD Projekt Red had put them in that horrible position, they're like, look, Sony can't even defend not giving refunds for this. Are you guys serious? You released this and now we have to give refunds? I tell you what, you're off of our store. When's the last time you seen that? A AAA game released on the PlayStation and PlayStation tells them you're off the store. So I did a little research on CD Projekt Red's stock price, like what it was before they released the original release of Cyberpunk, and it was well over $100. And now it fluctuates somewhere around $32. So even after the successful release of the new revamped version of Cyberpunk with its additional content, it still hasn't even come anywhere close to getting back to where it was. You remember that saying that CD Projekt Red used to have? I think they got a little popular because of it. You know, it was like a famous saying. When people would ask them when the game is coming out, people would rush them. They were impatient. And they got famous for telling people the game will be released when it's ready, or something to that effect. And they got so much credit for saying that. CD Projekt Red did not do anybody a favor by what they have done with this game, what they have done with Cyberpunk. They gave everybody what they promised, not everything, but they gave them the type of game that they promised they were going to give them years ago when the game first released. They told a lot of lies. There were no misunderstandings. They told lies. We have very short memories. And these people out here that's using Cyberpunk simply for one reason, to hate on Starfield, they're just making people forget that. Some of us will never forget it. You know, I'm going to keep that same energy. But you would think that it would be people like me who would be more forgiving of Cyberpunk or of CD Projekt Red, because I've been enjoying the game all along. But no, I was upset about how the game turned out for other people, especially on the console. And I'm going to keep that same energy. They did not do anything special. They gave you what you deserved. If you could not play that game until now, but you can play it now and you're enjoying it, they did not do you a favor, because even with all of that drama that went down, CD Projekt Red made a ton of money off of Cyberpunk. Even with that disastrous release, even with all of those refunds, they still made a ton of money. They made their money up front. They made their money up front, and then they gave you the product years later. That's what happened here. So I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but the problem is that you got these people out here who are using this game who probably don't even play the game. A lot of these people probably don't even play games. They're just out here trying to take advantage of this drama, trying to get known on YouTube, trying to build a channel, and they probably going to take that channel. They're probably going to get all they can out of Starfield hate. Eventually, that's going to die, and then they're going to transition their channel into hating something else, because they're never going to become a positive channel, because they realize, hey, I built this channel off of drama. I built this channel off of hate. I'm enjoying the game. I love the fact that CD Projekt Red did the right thing, but they only had to do the right thing because they did something wrong in the first place. That's just a reality. Starfield released the way games should release, maybe not in a perfect state. You notice how picky everybody had to be about Starfield? You didn't have to be that picky about Cyberpunk. You didn't have to be that picky about No Man's Sky. The list of things wrong with those games, the list was chock full of things to complain about, legitimate things to complain about. But with Starfield, you have to be picky. With Starfield, you have to compare its new product that was just released, to Cyberpunk, which is a product that released as a piece of garbage years ago and has been worked on over the years, and you have to compare it to what these people have had an opportunity to turn it into all these years later. They've been working on it all these years ago. They've been working on it. They made their profit. Bethesda released Starfield into the ether not knowing how it was going to turn out. It was a risk. They gave you a suitable product right from the beginning. CD Projekt Red gave you a piece of trash. They made all that money, and then really they almost had to straighten the product out. They had to, especially knowing they already had plans for The Witcher coming out. And by the way, some of these people who complain about Cyberpunk, they're going to be some of the same people who line up to pre-order The Witcher. And I'm not talking about people who do it for figurines and things of that nature, who order the games that come with all the different things, the books and all of that, whatever it may come with. I'm not talking about these people are collectors. So for them, it's not just about buying the game. It's also about buying that stuff. They're a collector. So I'm not talking about them. I know why they pre-order, but I'm saying there are going to be people out here who are just going to pre-order the base game. And these are some of these people are going to be the same people who got burned with Cyberpunk. They're not even going to wait on, now more than likely The Witcher will turn out to be fine. I believe CD Projekt Red did learn their lesson. The thing is, did you learn your lesson? Because the game is going to be available. It's not like the game is going to sell out. You can wait, but a lot of you aren't going to wait. And it's not going to have anything to do with any figurines or any extra stuff that comes with the game. You're going to order the base game. Excuse me, just had to swallow some water there. Throat getting a little dry doing all this talking. Yeah, guys, so look, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it short right there. I believe this video has gone on long enough with my ranting, but I just been getting a little sick and tired of hearing all this nonsense on social media. I'm getting tired of hearing about people how they can't say it anywhere that they want to that they're enjoying the game without being harassed. That's ridiculous. And if you're one of these people out here harassing people because they say they're enjoying the game, you're filth. You're garbage. You're a disgrace to humanity. You're the reason why a lot of people don't want to be on social media because of nonsense like that. You're the reason why sensible people avoid social media. You're the reason why the rest of us get stereotyped. You're the reason why gamers get stereotyped as immature man children. Okay? But anyway, let me go ahead and go. And hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And like I said, if you guys liked it, give it a like. It does help the channel out a whole lot. Having a rough time with YouTube right now, but it's all good. I enjoy making the videos. But hey guys, until next time, stay safe.